months. It's filled with Nebraska change of season. Rain one day, sun the next, beautiful foliage. It's filled with football, Nebraska football, and it's also filled with the sport of baseball. Now, the sport of baseball runs from October until, or it ends in October, starts in April. So it's a very long season, 162 games. Often there are times when one game separates two teams. One goes to the playoffs, one does not, out of all those games. It sets up a very unique circumstance compared to other sports because baseball plays a best of 5 or a best of 7 format in their championship series. Throughout the history of baseball, there have been teams and moments all the way back. I'm just going to name one from 1924. The Washington Senators, who are now play as the Texas Rangers, win their one and only World Series because Walter Johnson, a Hall of Fame pitcher, comes in and throws a bunch of innings in the 7th game to decide that. And if you can visualize fans just rushing the field in the 1920s, that old ticker tape, black and white, that kind of thing. And baseball history has just been filled with those kinds of things. So I'm going to implore you in this speech, as you are watching your television in October, if you land on a baseball game, give it a few minutes and let it play out, because it is like watching a play. It's done in stages, and many times the drama does not happen until the 8th or 9th inning, until the end. And as anybody who pays attention to things around here with sports, the Kansas City Royals last year won their first championship in 30 years in quite dramatic fashion. Baseball, in their history, they've had different formats for the postseason. It used to be just the champions of the two leagues, the National League and the American League, would go straight to the World Series. There wasn't the tier of playoffs that there are now, which the playoffs now are, tonight there's a wild card game tonight, a one-game elimination in the American League, and tomorrow night a one-game elimination in the National League. One team in each league will go forward into the playoffs. The other team's season will end in one game. So that's quite dramatic in itself. Used to be the teams went straight to the World Series, and those World Series were often very dramatic because the teams weren't as tired. They only played 154 games, and they went straight into the World Series. In those years, many of the championships were won by the New York Yankees. The New York Yankees won every championship or went to a World Series in every year except for a couple between 1949 and 1964. So if you can imagine that kind of dominance, it was very special. And in those World Series, they always found a way, most years, to win in dramatic fashion. There was 1952, Billy Martin, who ended up being the manager of the Yankees for a long time, was a second baseman, and the game was on the line in the 9th inning, and they hit a ball that was between the pitcher and the second baseman, and Billy just went for it and just ran and dove for it and made the winning catch in the final game. Jackie Robinson in the 50s stole home to win a game in a World Series. The only perfect game in postseason history for a long time had been in the World Series in 1956. So that kind of drama happens, those kinds of special moments. And then there are the World Series that end with a home run. In 1960, the Pittsburgh Pirates, they had not won a World Series, I think, since the 20s. They're playing the New York Yankees. The New York Yankees, in the games they win, they won the games by a wide margin. Yet Pittsburgh had somehow won 3 games on their own. So it sets up this 7th game. The Yankees are this dynasty. Pittsburgh hasn't been to a World Series forever. It's in one of these old ballparks that are located in the center of the city, small park, jammed with people, overflowing, ivy wall, and you could probably find pictures of this on the internet, of the moment that Bill Mazeroski hit the home run that won this World Series for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Yogi Berra is playing left field, and he just throws his glove up like, what more do we need to do to win this World Series? Pittsburgh just beat the heavily favored Yankees. Those kinds of moments are what make October baseball, for me, a lifelong fan, so memorable, because baseball in itself, the season's long, it's dreary, and it doesn't always hold my interest. I pay attention to who's doing well. I work for the Lincoln Salt Dogs, so I go to a lot of games and sit through a lot of games on the radio, so I appreciate the nuances of baseball during the regular season. But when October comes, doesn't matter. I pay attention because of that history of the moments that have happened. In 1969, man landed on the moon. 2 months later, the New York Mets, who had never even had a winning record in their history since 1962, won the World Series against a team, the Baltimore Orioles, that was by far the best team in baseball. They won well over 100 games, dominated, yet the Mets beat them. This little Mets team won the World Series. So there's always those kinds of moments. I could go throughout history and talk about these moments. They've happened as recently as last year with Kansas City. Kansas City was on the verge of elimination in the first round in the 8th inning of a deciding game and figured out a way to win it and went on to win the World Series. So it happens all the time. I want to talk about this year's postseason because there is some historic significance. One thing about baseball is there's a lot of long droughts for teams that have not won championships. For example, the Chicago Cubs last won a championship in 1908. 1908. Horses, buggies, trolley cars. That's what was going on in America in 1908, and the Cubs were the best team. This year, all of a sudden, they've been building. They have the best record in baseball, and they have a great chance to win the World Series. It would be their first since 1908. The Cleveland Indians, who also have a very good team, have not won a championship since 1948. The Texas Rangers used to be the Washington Senators. They haven't won since the 20s. So there are these long droughts that are in play in the postseason this year. And there are also some teams that had long droughts. San Francisco Giants had not won a World Series since 1954 when they were the New York Giants. And then they've won 3 in the last 6 years. The Boston Red Sox went 86 years, from 1918 to 2004, without winning a championship. They call it the curse of Babe Ruth, because they gave Babe Ruth away for a couple $100,000 to the Yankees. Whole other story. However, these droughts are significant, and when a team breaks through, it's awesome, because the Red Sox have now won 3 world championships in less than 15 years after not winning one for 86 years. So I will sum up with this. Baseball in October is special, and it equals any drama or reality show that is on right now. If you just land on it one night and give it a chance, you'll appreciate the nuances of the game, and you might just get lucky and see a walk-off home run, which means a game-ending home run at the end of a game, and you'll be like, wow, I would have missed it. Thank you.